Al-wahdatu khayrun min jalis as-su. It's a beautiful hadith. Loneliness is better than an evil friend. وَالْجَلِيسُ الصَّالِحُ خَيْرٌ مِّنَ الْوَحْدَةِ. And a good friend is better than loneliness. وَإِمْلَاءُ الْخَيْرِ خَيْرٌ مِّنَ السُّكُوتِ. And to say something good is better than staying silent. وَالسُّكُوتُ خَيْرٌ مِّنْ إِمْلَاءِ الشَّرِّ. And to stay silent is better than saying something evil.
That's the same hadith, Shaykh?
Huh?
That's the same hadith?
What do you mean same hadith?
Because we have it on a different page than the one that we have here.
You have it on a different page?
Yeah.
No, it's the same. It's the same hadith.
Oh, okay.
And same page.
It's the same one.
And the one we have
Number 12, right? On your book. It's the last one.
Yep.
Okay,
12.
yeah, but the supplement of it on page 13, وَإِمْلَاءُ الْخَيْرِ خَيْرٌ مِنَ السُّكُوتِ.
Oh, yeah, and this is connected as one.
Okay, so it's one hadith.
It's one hadith, yeah. It's all one sentence.
No.
Okay. So, al-wahdatu, it's a beautiful hadith. That loneliness is better than a bad friend, an evil friend, someone who will always teach you bad things, or in whose company you will be inclined to do bad things, even occasionally. So from that, loneliness is better for you. Being alone is better. But at the same time, look at the opposite of that. If you can find a good friend, then being with a good friend is better than being alone. Because if you're alone, shaitan can still come to your mind and put things in your heart and put waswasa in your heart and try to encourage you to do something. But if you are with a good person, with a good friend, then shaitan has less power over you. And then in the next hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, saying something good is better than being silent, and staying silent is better than saying something bad, saying something evil. All right. Number 63, tuhfatul mu'mini al-maut. The gift of a believer is death. How the death is a gift for a believer? Because do you recall the hadith in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ad-dunya sijnul mu'min," that the world is the prison of a believer. Now connect that to this. If the world is a prison, then the only way we get out of the world is a death. So a person who's getting out of prison, for him the death would be a gift, right? In that sense, the death is the gift of a believer, because by death he leaves the world, he leaves the prison of this world, and he enters the heaven, he enters the realms of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now got it? So sometimes you have to connect the two hadith.
How would a believer know he's going to paradise?
You always hope for the best. A believer should always hope that he will meet Allah and he will have the best time with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in one hadith, that Allah loves to meet with that person who loves to meet with Allah. And Allah also does not like to meet with that person who does not like to meet with Allah. And a believer should always have this desire in his heart that I would love to meet with Allah. Uhibbu liqa Allah. I would love to meet with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So a believer should always be optimistic and should always think that, I will, inshallah, I will get the pardon from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and get the forgiveness. Number 64, Yadullahi ala al-jama'ah. The hand of Allah is above the jama'ah, the congregation or the group of Muslims. The word yad has been used here for Allah, the hand of Allah. Now we do believe Allah has hand, and Allah does have, those attributes that are mentioned in Quran, that are proven in Quran. But the hand of Allah is not like our hand. So in your mind, don't even think that when we say the hand of Allah, it may look like this, it may have 5 fingers, and it may be like this, and it may be bigger. And these are all the things that are for makhluk. For khaliq, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever He has said, we believe it. But kayfiyya, the description of that is only known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How does the hand of Allah look like? what is it, what does it have, and what are the qualities, and what are the features, and all of that is all known only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't know about that.
It probably means protection or what.
That's a meaning, that's an understanding of that. But the general understanding, the general meaning of this hadith is that Allah is with the jama'ah. Allah is not with individuals. So it is an encouragement from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Muslims should be in groups. You should be with jama'ah, with the group of Muslims. Like Sahaba were all in one jama'ah, were all in one group. You should not be divided in sects. That's what we learn. Number 65. Kullu kalam ibn Adam alayhi la lahu. Every kalam, every word of the son of Adam will stand against him and not for him. Illa amrum bima'ruf, except all those words that pertain to amr bil ma'ruf, telling people to do something good. Aw nahyun anil munkar, or telling people to stay away from something. Nahi anil munkar. Aw dhikrullah, or the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And dhikr of Allah includes Quran, tasbihat, adhkar, remembrance of Allah, and also doing mudhakara of the dhikr of Allah. So all the words that are pertaining to amr bil ma'ruf, nahi anil munkar, and dhikr of Allah, those words will be in our favor on the Day of Judgment. And the other words that we speak, the foul words or bad words or useless words, they may stand against us on the Day of Judgment. Number 66. مثل الذي يذكر ربه والذي لا يذكر مثل الحي والميت. The example of that person who remembers his Rabb, who remembers his Allah, and the one who does not, is like the living person and the dead person. A person who's alive and a person who's dead. So the person who remembers Allah is like a live person, and a person who doesn't remember Allah is like a dead person. Because the dhikr of Allah makes you alive. Number 67. مثل العلم لا ينتفع به كمثل كنز لا ينفق منه في سبيل الله. The example of that knowledge from which no benefit is gained is like that treasure from which nothing is spent in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you have knowledge, share it with others. If sharing the knowledge with others will not reduce your knowledge and will not reduce your value, rather it will increase your own knowledge, increase the benefit of that knowledge, and increase your own rewards as well. Number 68. أفضل الذكر لا إله إلا الله. The best dhikr is to say La ilaha illallah. وأفضل الدعاء الحمد لله. And the best dua is to say Alhamdulillah. It's very beautiful hadith that the best dhikr of Allah is to say La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. And you don't need to have wudu to say La ilaha illallah. You can say it when you don't have wudu. You can say it when you're outside, when you're inside, when you're driving. You can say it at any time. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. And this is the best dhikr. And the best dua is to say Alhamdulillah. All praises for Allah. Number 69. أول من يدعى إلى الجنة يوم القيامة الذين يحمدون الله في السراء والضراء. First of those, the first people who will be called towards Jannah on the Day of Judgment will be those people who used to praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during the times of ease and difficulty, during the times of happiness and sadness. So they always praise Allah. They always say Alhamdulillah. This is why when you are not feeling good and someone comes to you and says, how are you? So instead of just saying Alhamdulillah, you should say Alhamdulillahi ala kulli hal. That all praises for Allah on every condition. Whatever condition I'm in, even though I'm not really happy right now, I have flu, or I have cold, or I have fever, or I have headache. Whatever condition I'm in, even though it's not pleasing to me at this moment, but I still praise Allah. And these are the people who will be called first to enter Jannah on the Day of Judgment. نوع آخر منها. Another type of ahadith that are also beginning with jumla ismiya. أي من الجملة الإسمية وهو ما دخل عليها لا. So these are hadiths that we'll be learning in this section. There are also the nouns and the sentences which begin with a noun, but there will be a la in the beginning. La means no. Let's see. Number 70. La imana liman la amanata lah. There is no iman of that person, there is no faith of that person, there is no belief of that person who has no concept of amana. Meaning he's not trustworthy. Amana means being trustworthy. Ameen. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the most trustworthy. So if someone gives you amana, you have to give it back to that person. That's amana. So if someone breaks amana, breaches the trust, then that person is doing khiyana, and the iman of that person is imperfect, is flawed. This is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying. So imagine the importance of amana, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is connecting the amana to iman. And next, he said, La ahda, la dina, liman la ahda la. And there's no religion of that person who has no value of promise. If you make a promise, know the value of that promise and fulfill it. If you are one of those people who don't care about promises, who think promises are just like what we do in politics. In politics, we make promises to our people, and when people give you a chance to fulfill those promises, you say, "Oh, I just made those promises to win the election. I didn't mean to fulfill those promises. I just wanted to get your vote and just wanted to win the election, and that's it."
But they don't say that though.
At the end, when you're not practically fulfilling the promises, that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying, La dina. There's no religion of that person. If a person doesn't fulfill his promises, don't trust his religion either.
So this is still 70, right? Wala dina man
71.
Oh, that was 71.
Yeah. Number 72. La halima illa dhu athra. No person can become a true forbearer. No person can have the true quality of forbearance except by having the experience of forbearing. What does it mean? You can call yourself Halim. You can say, I'm a very forbearing person. But you will only prove yourself to be forbearing when you have been tested. When the time comes, let's say, someone did something horribly wrong to you, and now it is your time to take revenge from that person, and you have every available resource to take revenge from that person and prove it that you can take on that person. And at that time, you forgive that person. That means you are Halim. Now you're proving through the test that you are really forbearing. This is what Yusuf alayhi salam did to his brothers. He could take revenge from his brothers. His brothers did horrible things to him. They threw him in that well. They abandoned him. They tried to kill him. They did every horrible thing to him. But when they came to him and they were helpless and he was all in power, he could do everything to take revenge from them, but he did not. And he forgave them. That proved that he was Halim. Like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he entered Makkah at the time of the conquest of Makkah, Fath Makkah, he was able to take revenge from all those people who did all the terrible things to him, but he forgave them all. And that's why he was Halim. So you can become Halim only by proving through the test that yes, you have the quality of forbearing. Number 73 is similar. Wala hakima illa dhu tajriba. Dhu tajriba means experience. So a true doctor is the one who has experience. If you have no experience and you tell people I'm a doctor, nobody's going to come to you. You're going to kill people. Huh? Yeah, you're going to kill people. So wala hakima illa dhu tajriba. And the hakim here in reality means the person of wisdom. So those people who are really wise are the people who have a long experience of going through actual realities. And in realities they gain the experience and then they become wise. a person who's just turned 20 or just turned 15, he can't call himself I'm very wise because he hasn't been through any experience. But a person who's 60 years old, 70 years old, he can say, yes, I have experience because I have dealt with real situations in all circumstances. Next, number 74. La aqla kat-tadbir. Aql again means intelligence. No intelligence is like tadbir. What is the meaning of tadbir? Tadbir means to think thoroughly about something before you do it. So before you take on an action, before you do something, you thoroughly think about it. What will happen if I do this? What will happen if I do that? What will happen if I do it this way? What will happen if I do it that way? All of this is called tadbir. This is why in Quran we see the word yudabbirul amr. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who handles things, who does things with thorough thinking. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks in the future, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks in the past, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks in the present, and then He decides something. He doesn't look at the immediate circumstances and decide something. We people, we look at the immediate circumstances. If there's a fire, we will look at immediately, oh, where's the fire extinguisher? Where's the fire extinguisher? Where's the water? And we'll try to, extinguish the fire right away. We will not think thoroughly what will happen if we do this way, what will happen if we do that way, and that's called tadbir. So there is no intelligence, or there's no better intelligence than tadbir. Wala, number 75, wala wara'a kalkaf, and there's no caution like holding back. Caution means, to not step into something without thinking about the consequences. It is connected to the previous one. And wara' means caution. Caution in matters of religion, and also caution in matters of your worldly decisions as well. For example, I'll give you one example. You have 2 bowls of food over here, and you don't know whether they're halal or haram. So one thing you can do is you can say, I think it's halal, and you can eat it. And another thing you can do is you just give up. You say, no, I shouldn't eat either one of these because I don't know which one is halal and which one is haram. That's called kaf, to stay away from it. So there's no better caution than staying away from something. Kal kaf. Okay? Wala hasaba ka husnul khuluq. And there is no lineage like the good character. You can tell people, oh, I belong to the family of the Prophet ﷺ, but in your own character, you have all the ills, you have all the bad things, then there is no beauty in you. That lineage, that good lineage of yours is not going to save you and is not going to a better person. So a person's lineage is basically his character. If you have a good character, if you have etiquette, you have morals, then you are a better person and you have the better lineage. Number 77. لا طاعة لمخلوق في معصية الخالق. Nothing can be done in obedience of the creatures, in obedience of the creation that may disobey the Creator. So you cannot do anything in order to please the people by displeasing Allah. For example, your friend says, oh, have this drink today, just today, for my pleasure, to make me happy. And Allah is saying, no, you cannot have a drink. And Allah is saying, if you drink, I'll be displeased with you, I'll be angry with you. So what will you do at that time? Would you prefer to please your friend and drink it? Or would you give priority to pleasing Allah and not drink it? You will give priority to Allah and not drink it. This is what this hadith means. And now connect this hadith to the previous hadith where we learn that the pleasure of Allah is in the pleasure of a father, and the displeasure of Allah is in the displeasure of the father. And I said that this only applies to those things which are within the Sharia, within the teachings of Islam. If the father tells you to do something that's haram, you're not allowed to please your father. At that time, you have to tell your father respectfully that I'm sorry, I will not be able to do it because Allah has not allowed me to do it. Okay? So Allah always comes first. He comes before your father, before your mother, before your boss, before everybody else.
So this applies to the mother too?
Yes, of course. Number 78. La sarurata fil Islam. There is no concept of sarura in Islam. The word sarura means, abandoning the life of the society, abandoning the mingling with people, and abandoning the family life. That's called sarura. And in Christianity, monasticism is a very popular thing. It used to be very popular. It's not popular now, but it used to be very popular, where people would abandon the family, abandon the relatives, abandon everything else, and go out, and spend their life dedicated to the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's called rahbaniya. Another word for that is sarura. And Islam does not like that. Islam wants us to be in the society, be in the family, and then worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 79.
There's a hadith that doesn't have any for Islam.
Yes, that's the ayah of the Quran. The hadith is La rahbaniyata fil Islam. Similar. Rahbaniya is a bigger picture, and sarura is a smaller picture.
Well, but would that be easy for somebody to follow Islam, not being connected with the society? Because that's when all the bad things happen.
See,
It would be an easy way out.
Allah likes the challenge. Allah doesn't like the cowards. Here's the thing, Allah doesn't like the cowards.
He wants you to go through the process.
Yes. It would have been easier for the Prophet ﷺ to stay in that cave, and he loved to be in that cave. But Allah told him, no, go out, be with the people, and deal with the people. And so the reward is also higher. If you are one of those people who stay away from people and just do the worship, yes, you will still go in Jannah, inshallah, but your reward will be less because you didn't really go through challenges.
So maybe the people that you're talking about, probably they're relying on the hadith, al-wahda khairu min jalisi as-su'. They're expecting everybody to commit a su', and then...
Right. Of course, in that case, that hadith is very important. It comes into context. But obviously, if someone, develops the appetite, develops the ability to challenge and go through the challenge, then the reward is higher. Look at the politicians. They go through so many different challenges, and they, come out on the other side. And obviously, they're stronger than those people who have never been through any challenge. Number 79. لا بأس بالغنى لمن اتقى الله عز وجل. There is no harm in having wealth for that person who fears Allah. So, if you don't fear Allah, then wealth may take you in the wrong direction. But if you fear Allah, then there's nothing wrong with wealth. Look at Uthman radiallahu anhu. He was one of the wealthiest people. Look at Abdurrahman ibn Auf radiallahu anhu. And so many other companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam who were very rich, very wealthy. But their wealth did not distract them from Allah. So it was harmless. It was good for them. Al-Jumlatul Ismiya allati dakhalat alayha harfu inna. Now we're again still on those ahadith that begin with a noun. However, now these ahadith which will be mentioned here are those which begin with the word inna. Inna Allah ghafurur rahim, or inna Allah kana aliman hakima. So the word inna is another Arabic letter, and it has some important grammar status as well. So these hadith will begin with the word inna, and inna always means indeed or verily. Number 80. Inna min al-bayani la sihra. Indeed, there are some speeches that are like magic. What does the Prophet ﷺ mean? Some speakers and some orators are so powerful in delivering their speech that they can literally mesmerize the minds of people, and they can really draw the attention of people like no one else. And we have seen those speakers, I have personally seen those speakers, that whatever they're saying, they have such a magic in their delivery of speech that they have every single person's attention in the gathering. Even if there are 10,000 people, every single person is attentively listening to that speaker, the way they're delivering their speech. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Inna min al-bayani la sihra," that there are some speeches that are like magic. And this was said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam uttered these words when there was a speaker who came from Yemen. And even today, the Yemeni scholars, they're very eloquent, and they're very good in delivering the speech. So these people came from Yemen, they embraced Islam, and this guy, he started giving a speech outside in Medina. And all of a sudden, people started flocking to him. And in just like an instant, so many people were listening to that speaker, and the way they were listening to that speaker, they did not know what was going on behind them, and who was behind them, what was going on here and there. They knew nothing that was happening around them. That's how powerful this speaker was. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a little bit away from there, and he saw all of this, and this is what he said. He said, "Inna min al-bayani la sihra," that some speeches are so powerful that they're like magic.
MashaAllah. So the Yemeni brothers, MashaAllah, they're eloquent.
Very eloquent.
So that's a positive, right?
It is.
That's in a positive way.
It is a positive
like
way.
Hitler used to be very mesmerizing, but he was an evil.
No, meaning, catching the attention of people all the way,
All the way.
completely. Some speakers are giving the speech, and half people are, just hanging out or playing with the phone or things like that.
Get ready.
I thought the Syrian was the most eloquent.
No.
It's got to be the Yemenis, because remember that guy that just caught the guy.
Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in one hadith, "Al-imanu yamaniya." Yemen has some significance,
Any examples for Yemeni scholars?
Yeah, that's the guy I was telling you about.
What's his name?
They just caught him
What's his name?
in Yemen.
Yes.
What's his
I don't
name?
want to
I
say.
can think of his name right.
Forget it. Don't mention it.
Okay.
But that's how people make new followers, and there's actually someone from Yemen who claimed to be Mahdi, and there's some video.
There's a new one now?
I think so. So
That burst the bubble of the nation.
so that's very sad. Okay, number 81. Inna min ash-shi'ri hikmah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, indeed, some couplets of poetry are such that contain wisdom. So not all poetry is wisdom, but some couplets of poetry are very wise, and they deliver a lot of wisdom. So sometimes you can say one shi'r, one couplet from a poetry, and it will deliver the whole speech in one sentence. Number 82. Inna min al-ilmi jahla. Sometimes Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, verily, sometimes there is ignorance even from knowledge. If you are not learning the right thing, then basically you're learning the ignorance. And if you are sharing the knowledge in the wrong way with the wrong people, then you're giving them jahl. You're not really giving them knowledge, you're giving them ignorance. Number 83. وَإِنَّ مِنَ الْقَوْلِ عِيَالًا. And from the words, there are those that depend that are dependent. Meaning, sometimes you say a word, but it needs explanation. Okay, so that word that you delivered is a dependent word. It needs explanation to be understood completely.
So what's the meaning for iyala?
Huh?
Iyala.
Iyala means dependent. Another meaning of this word could also be that some words that are said, they could be a burden for the person as well. Because if you say something bad, then that will be a burden on you on the day of judgment.
Maybe it needs more explanation. Could be way people could construe it in the wrong
To be
way.
understood. Number 84. Inna yasiru riyai shirkun. Indeed, even the little of riya, even the little of show off in worship is shirk. When you are worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you're praying, you pray only for Allah. Even, let's say you were praying, but in your mind you thought, oh, if that person sees me praying, then he will think of me as a very good person and things like that. That happens sometimes, people who want to impress their future father-in-law. That happens if the future father-in-law is a religious person and he likes to see, he likes to marry his daughter to a person who is a very religious person who prays regularly and prays properly. So when he stands in prayer and he realizes that my future father-in-law is watching me, so he does a lot of qiyam, and then slowly he goes into ruku, and does, spend a lot of time in ruku and sujood. So he spends good time in prayer. But he's not doing it for the sake of Allah. He's doing it to impress his future father-in-law.
But does it work though?
It works. It does. It works all the time.
Example.
I'm writing this down.
It works.
It works. All right. Number 84. Because, that person will say, oh no, I have seen him. He prays such perfectly. Number
85.
Number 80, it would be 84.
84, the one previous one.
So, inna min al-ilmi jahla wa inna min al-qawli i'ala was one?
That okay.
Okay. In my book, they put it separately. That's okay. Inna yasir al-riya'i shirkun. So, he said, the Prophet ﷺ said that even the smallest of riya, the smallest of showing off in matters of worship, will be considered shirk. Number 85. Inna sa'ida laman junnib al-fitan. The fortunate person is the one who has been saved from trials. If you have been put through trials, then if you come out successfully, then you are a very high status person. But if you lose, then that's a big loss as well. But someone who never was put through any trials and any tests, then Rasulullah ﷺ is calling him a fortunate person, because you are going into Jannah without even being tried. And that's really fortunate. Number 86. Innal mustashara mu'tamanun. The one who's being consulted is trusted as well, or should be a trustworthy person. And this, you can connect it to the hadith that we learned last week, where the Prophet ﷺ said, Al-majalisu bil-amana, that the gatherings are a trust, so whatever is said in a gathering should not go out. Likewise, when you are seeking a consultation from someone, that also should remain private, should also remain confidential, should not be spread out to other people. Another meaning of this is, if you are seeking a consultation from someone, then the other person has an obligation to give you the best advice. If he knew the best thing for you was this, instead he suggested the other thing, which was not best for you, then he did khiyana. Then he broke the trust. This guy who came to do mashwara with you, he trusted you and you broke his trust. Number 87. Innal walada mabkhala majbana. Indeed, a child is the cause of stinginess and the cause of cowardliness. Rasulullah ﷺ said these words when his grandson Hassan radiallahu anh came running to him, and he loved them so much. He loved his grandchildren Hassan and Hussein radiallahu anh a lot. And he said these words, that because of these children, people become stingy, so they don't spend out in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they become coward, so they don't go out in fighting in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
A question, Shaykh, about the previous hadith. Like, for instance, that sometime you're walking down the street and someone asks you, where's the liquor store, or where's the church, so and so on. Well, you should tell them that.
You should not.
Anything if you know where they are.
Don't tell him. That's ad-dalu ala shar.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even if they are non-Muslim,
This
they
is
ask
about
you-
the mubah, the permissible acts.
Even if they're non-Muslim and they're asking you what
Yeah,
liquor
you
store is,
you
don't
tell
know where?
them. No, you say, I'm sorry,
I don't know.
I excuse myself.
So what was the question? Even if he's a Muslim and he asks,
Even if it's a non-Muslim.
he's a
Well,
non-Muslim.
he's a Muslim, not gonna ask
Yeah,
for
yeah, I
it.
was like, that's what it is.
Well, he says, I want to go to get a bottle of
Yeah, I
water.
want to get a water
Yeah.
or soda.
That's on the person, wouldn't it be if he did get liquor?
Huh?
If he did get liquor instead of water, if he says, I'm going, I really.
Then that's not on you.
Yes, okay.
That's not on you.
So,
Or we can give them direction to the mosque instead.
No, that would be dishonest.
okay.
Number 88. إن الصدق طمأنينة وإن الكذب ريبة. Indeed, the truth is always a satisfaction, is always peaceful. وإن الكذب ريبة, and the lie is always doubtful. So when you're lying, you're always hesitant and reluctant in your heart as well. So sometimes, in order to convince the other person on your lie, you need to tell another lie and another lie and another lie. And when you say the truth, even if the other person is not convinced, in your heart you're all at peace, and you know, I have told the truth. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ is saying, that the truth is always bringing peace at heart, and the lie will always bring false, the doubt.
The use here
Riba.
Riba. It's the same as riba. which
No,
is
that's
usually-
riba.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
Riba,
The riba is doubt,
Okay.
like raib.
Yeah.
ذلك الكتاب لا ريب.
La riba.
La raiba fi.
Riba. With the
Yeah.
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 With the yeah, it's
Riba and raiba is same thing. Doubt.
doubt.
Yeah.
Riba
And
without
riba,
the- without
riba
the
is
yeah.
interest.
Interest.
There's no ya in the middle.
There isn't. Okay. So that's
Okay. Number 89. إن الله تعالى جميل يحب الجمال. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is beautiful, and Allah loves beauty. So Allah loves beauty mean when you come to prayer, that's why in Quran Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, when you come to pray, then take your ornaments, take your beauty, dress beautifully, and dress up nicely when you come to pray for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you dress up nicely. Okay? And Allah loves beauty. So Allah doesn't love dirty people. Allah doesn't love filthy people. Allah doesn't love dirt and filth. Number 90. Inna likulli shay'in shirra wa likulli shirratin fatra. For everything there is a high, and then there is a downfall. So everything goes up and then it comes down. That's what Rasulullah ﷺ said. So in your career as well, there will come a time when you're at the peak of your career. You have reached the peak of your career, and then you begin to come down as well. In our life as well, there is an age when we are at the peak of our youth and peak of our maturity, and then we start coming down. And in terms of our strength as well, there will come a time when you are at the peak of your strength, and then you will start coming down. You will start becoming weaker and weaker. And likewise in your senses, there will come a time when you are at the peak of your senses, and then you will start losing them. You will start coming down, and then you will leave from this world.
Could you repeat the translation of this hadith?
Inna likulli shay'in shirra. For everything there is a high. Walikulli shirratin fatra. And for everything that goes high, it comes down as well. Fatra means it slows down. And that happens with economy as well. Economy goes up, and then it starts to recess, it starts to come down. And then it goes back up.
So fatra has a meaning of a period.
Yeah, slow down. Fatra is like a stop or slow down. It can be defined in many different ways. Yeah. A pause.
A pause.
Yeah. Slow down, pause, recess. Number 91. Inna rizqa la yatlubu al-abd kama yatlubuhu ajalu. Indeed, the sustenance, the provision seeks the person or follows the person as the death follows the person. So our death is always behind us. We don't know where it is, but it's still behind us, and when the right time will come, it will come and catch us. So it's always following us. It's following us when we are on the road. It's following us when we are in the plane. It's following us when we are in the house. It's following us when we are in the masjid. It's always following us. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, likewise, your rizq, your sustenance, and your provision is always following you as well. So you are running ahead to seek your provision, and your provision is coming behind you. And you will get only that which Allah has written for you. Number 92. Inna shaytana yajri min al-insan majra ad-dam. Indeed, shaitan runs in a human in the places of blood. So our blood runs in the veins, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where shaitan runs as well. So we don't know where the blood is running. We don't see it, we don't feel it, but it is running. Likewise, shaitan is also running. The meaning of this hadith is that shaitan can put things in our heart without us even realizing that it's shaitan putting this in our heart. Okay?
So is there a difference in the word using mina versus fi?
Mina?
Yeah, in the shaitan usually min al-insani
Yeah.
versus fil insani.
Yeah, sometimes they use alternately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the same meaning. There is no difference actually in the two.
In reality, the meaning of fi is in, and the word min is from.
From.
Yeah. But here, the min is used for fi.
Could you say that phrase again, please? Shaitan is like the blood, which is always running.
Yeah.
Shaitan is always what?
Shaitan is always, moving inside inside the veins of the person as well.
Okay.
Allah has given him that power that he can go in our brain, he can go in our heart, he can go in our blood, he can go, wherever.
Is that what we refer to as nafs? Or
No.
That's different.
Nafs is different, yeah. Number 93. Inna likulli ummatin fitna. For every ummah, for every nation, there was a fitna. The fitna of Fir'aun, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that they had many fitnas. Fitna means trial, test. So they were given many tests. And the fitna of Ibrahim alayhi salam's people, the fitna of Lut alayhi salam's people, the fitna of Salih alayhi salam's people. So for every ummah that has come before us, there was a fitna. And the fitna of Christianity is the death of Isa alayhi salam. They believe in the death of Isa alayhi salam, and in reality he did not die. And that is a fitna. That is a fitna of Christianity. And the fitna of Judaism were many. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, for every ummah there was a major fitna. And he said, wa fitnatu ummati al-mal. And the major fitna of my ummah is wealth. It's not poverty, it's wealth. Meaning that my ummah will be given so much wealth that they will become neglectful in their responsibilities because of that wealth. And look at the world today. If you look at the concentration of wealth, majority of wealth is with the Muslims, but they don't use it in the right way. They extravagantly spend it and they waste it.
Or not use it properly.
Just in Saudi Arabia, there are so many billionaires, not millionaires. There are so many billionaires just in the royal family, but we don't see the effect of that. Number 94. Inna asra' ad-du'a'i ijabatan da'watu ghaib li ghaib. Verily, indeed, the quickest dua to be accepted is the dua by an absent person for an absent person. So when you make dua, you are an absent person. You are here, and you're making dua, let's say we make dua for Brother Samir, he's not here. So when we make dua for Brother Samir, this dua that we will make will be the quickest dua to be accepted. It will get accepted immediately by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if Brother Samir makes dua for us, that dua will also be immediately accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because he is ghaib from us and we are ghaib from him. He is absent from us and we are absent from him.
Does that apply to the people who are dead too?
But they can make dua for you.
No,
You
like
can
if
make
we
dua
pray
for them.
for somebody
Yeah,
who's
of course.
not-
You can make dua for them.
That has the same status though.
Yeah, they will get accepted. Number 95. إِنَّ الرَّجُلَ لَيُحْرَمُ الرِّزْقَ بِالذَّنْبِ يُصِيبُ. Indeed, sometimes a man is deprived of his sustenance because of a sin that he committed. Sometimes Allah was going to give you something, but because you did something wrong, you committed a sin, Allah took it back. Allah did not give it to you at that time. And this is what this hadith is saying, that sometimes we get deprived of something that Allah was going to give it to us, but because we committed a sin, Allah took it back. Allah said, no, you don't deserve it. I'm not going to give it to you.
I meant to our brother Samir to come and pay you.
No, it's not him. He is.
Who's Brother Samir?
Alright. Number 96. إِنَّ نَفْسًا لَمْ تَمُوتَ حَتَّى تَسْتَكْمِلَ رِزْقَهَا. Beautiful hadith. No soul will ever die until it has fully taken its sustenance.
Wow.
Whatever Allah has written for you, until even a grain of that is remaining, you will not die. Once all of that is done, then the angel will come and take your soul away.
So eat less.
To live more, right? Number 97. إِنَّ الصَّدَقَةَ لَتُطْفِئُ غَضَبَ الرَّبِّ وَتَدْفَعُ مِيتَةَ السُّوءِ. Indeed, verily, sadaqah, charity, will extinguish the anger of Allah. And it will repel the evil death or the bad death. These are the two benefits of charity. When you give sadaqah, first of all, it cools down the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you give sadaqah, the anger of Allah subhanahu, if Allah was angry with you, Allah will not be angry with you anymore because you gave sadaqah. And the second benefit of that, giving sadaqah will save you from evil death. Like evil death, we have seen it. I would not say evil death, but in my understanding, evil death is like the plane crash, Malaysian. We don't know, Allahu Alam, what horrible things happen. We don't even have a trace. We don't even know where the plane is, where the wreckage is, where it fell, how it broke. We knew the Air France, it broke in midair and it fell into the ocean and it went so deep in the freezing water where everything froze, the bodies were frozen, all that. How horrible death was that? That's mitatusu. That's an evil death. That's a bad death that we should pray to Allah for protection from. Having a peaceful death is a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you compare it with these kind of deaths, the horrible kinds of death. So when you give sadaqah, Allah saves you from a horrible death.
So the death of Saddam Hussein and the other guy from Libya, that's an evil death? Because they were hanged and persecuted on the street?
Allahu Alam. In my view, evil death is a death that you don't want to have for yourself. For myself, I would like to have a peaceful death, where I'm not in pain and I'm not in suffering.
Like dying in the sleep is
that's the peaceful, that's the peaceful death. Number, in my view, the peaceful death would be I'm making tawaf before the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I reached between Maqam Ibrahim and Hajar Aswad, and that's where the angel of death comes and takes my soul. Recently, like 2-3 months ago, there was a person who was in Haram, in Masjid al-Haram. He was in sujood
Yeah, I saw
and
that
he
one.
died.
I saw that.
In
was on
sujood.
Facebook- It was on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
I saw it.
And then, one of the scholars from South Africa, Sheikh Yunus, rahmatullahi alayhi, he died like 4 years ago. He was making tawaf after Salatul Asr on Friday. He was making tawaf and he was in between Hajar Aswad and Maqam Ibrahim, and that's where he died. And he went for Umrah. He did not live in Mecca.
I have a question along those lines. Perhaps I had made intentions to make my Hajj this year,
MashaAllah.
and I know I was hearing about this MERSes, some kind of
A MERS.
MERS.
Yeah, MERS.
And suppose something, I was talking to a brother, and I said, I'm kind of leery about this now, but he said, suppose you died there though.
Yeah.
So in that case, if I went and knowing that there was a disease going on, if that was the case, that was that bad, how,
If that disease is a plague kind of thing, if you know for sure, that's really dangerous and it's going to kill you, and there's a highly likability as well, then that's a danger. But there has been only 2 cases.
Yeah, that's why I know.
It's like 2 in a million,
Yes.
or 2 in 10
It's
million.
even worse here. It's even worse here in some cases than there.
Yeah,
It's even worse
it's
here.
like 2 in 10 million.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like 0.0.0 percent.
Yeah.
All right.
Make dua, inshallah.
Inshallah. Number 98.
I was going in.
إنك لست بخير من أحمر ولا أسود إلا أن تفضله بالتقوى. You are not better from a red person and from a black person, except if you exceed them in righteousness. If you have more righteousness than a white person or a black person or a red person or a yellow person, then yes, you are better than them. But merely on the color of your skin, you're not better than anyone.
Black man is not superior. Black man is not superior.
Yeah.
Like what? Black mind?
Black man.
Oh, black man.
Number 99. Inna Allah la yanzuru ila suwarikum wa amwalikum. This is actually attached to the last one. Allah does not look at your faces and at your wealth. وَلَكِنْ يَنْظُرُ إِلَى قُلُوبِكُمْ وَأَعْمَالِكُمْ. But He looks at your hearts and your a'mal. So heart means your ikhlas, your sincerity. How sincere you are in your heart, and what are your a'mal. So Allah doesn't look at your faces, how beautiful you are, how handsome you are, and He doesn't look at your wealth, how wealthy you are. He looks at your a'mal and your hearts. Number 100. إِنَّ مِنَ الْمَعْرُوفِ أَن تَلْقَى أَخَاكَ بِوَجْهٍ طَلِقٍ. Indeed, it is a good deed that you meet your brother with a smiley face, with a cheerful face. So when you meet with your brother, even if you're not happy at that time or happy to see him, just, greet him with a smiley face, and that will bring happiness on his face. That's why it's a good deed. Number 101. Inna awla nasi billah man bada'a bis salam. Indeed, the one who begins the greeting of salam, who's first to say assalamu alaikum, is more closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 102. Inna riba wa in kathur fa inna aqibatahu tasiru ila kullin. Indeed, riba or interest, even if it is a lot, but at the end, it will always be little. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave us an important lesson in this hadith, that if you are making money from interest, it will, on your paper, it will look like you have $1,000 or $20,000 coming from interest. But at the end of the day, you will have no benefit from that. The benefit that you will get from that interest money will be very little. On the other hand, if you have halal income, if you have pure money, even if it is little, but you will get maximum benefit from that. Barakah. Maximum benefit. And people have experienced that. People experience it every single day. They can have on their books $20,000, but in their benefit, that $20,000 is not even worth $2. Number 103. Innal ghadaba لَيُفْسِدُ الْإِيمَانِ كَمَا يُفْسِدُ الصَّبِرُ الْعَسَلِ. Indeed, anger will destroy your iman, or will spoil your iman, just as the sour or bitter liquid will destroy the honey. If you add, sabr is a liquid which is very bitter and very sour. If you add that to the honey gets destroyed. It gets spoiled. It's not tasteful anymore. So if you have anger, and always have anger in your heart, in your body, in your mind, then that will destroy your iman as well. It will spoil it. Like you will have no taste of your iman, no purity.
Here, sabr is spelled exactly the same way as sabr, which is
patience. This is sabr with the kasra in ba. Sabr,
sabr with the
that's sabr.
Sabr. With
Patience is sabr, and this is sabir.
Sabir.
Sabir. Number 104. Inna sidqa. There's a question here. Does it count as absent if I'm online? Can you make dua for me? Yes. Inshallah. You make dua for us and we make dua for you. May Allah fulfill all your needs. That is absent. Okay. Number 104. Inna sidqa birrun. Truth is a good deed. Is a righteous deed. وَإِنَّ الْبِرَّ يَهْدِي إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ. And righteousness will lead you to Jannah. وَإِنَّ الْكِذْبَ فُجُورٌ. And lying is transgression, is a sin. وَإِنَّ الْفُجُورَ يَهْدِي إِلَى النَّارِ. And sin and a transgression will lead you towards hellfire. Number 106. إِنَّ اللَّهَ حَرَّمَ عَلَيْكُمْ عُقُوقَ الْأُمَّهَاتِ. Indeed, Allah has made forbidden upon you to disobey your mothers. Remember, there was the word uquq al-walidain, the disobedience of parents. But here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala singled out the mothers. Because many people, they take mothers lightly and take fathers seriously. So they're more scared of the father and less scared of the mother. So they will be more hesitant to do something bad to a father, but more comfortable in doing something, bad to a mother. And here Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah has made it forbidden upon you to disobey your mothers. You must obey your mothers and respect them. وَوَأْدَ الْبَنَاتِ. And the
Even if it's something wrong?
No, not if something is wrong. Well, that's a given thing. وَوَأْدَ الْبَنَاتِ. And the burying of daughters alive. Arabs used to do that. Before Islam, they used to bury their daughters alive, and Allah has made it haram. This is haram. وَمَنْعَ وَهَاتٍ. Man' wahat means you stop people from doing good things and you tell people to do bad things. That's man' and hat. When people are there, you tell them to do bad things and you stop. If the people are doing good things, you stop them. وَكَرِهَ لَكُمْ قِيلَ وَقَالَ. And Allah has disliked for you qeel and qal. Qeel is a passive verb which means he said or who said or it was said. So the person who did it is not known. That's a passive verb. And qala is an active verb where we know who said it. So this is what we do in our communities. This is how we spread the news. It was said that some